Number 1. In April of 2020, a man from Omaha, Nebraska, was wildly walking around a residential area in the middle of the night. He was trying to get into cars and into houses, and police suspected that he was on some kind of drugs during the whole event. Unfortunately for him, the last house he went into belonged to the number 3 ranked light heavyweight in the UFC, Anthony Smith. And unsurprisingly, Smith took him down and kept him there until police showed up. But in later interviews, he explained that the man felt invincible and that no matter what he threw at him, the man was more than willing to take it. On top of that, CCTV footage was released from a doorstep that showed the man's state of mind, and it was terrifying. The man tries to get into the house, but sees somebody and begins to scream manically. With this footage showing us how erratic the man was that night, it's very fortunate that Smith lived there and was able to take him down, because there's no telling what the man could have done to somebody else.
Typically when people break in your house, it's during the day when you're not home. So at nighttime, usually it's because people want to do something to you. They want to hurt you. They have something, whether it's a weapon, a gun, a knife, a bat. So I'm expecting he has something, and I don't. So I just needed to get to him and honestly do as much damage as I could before I was going to succumb to whatever he had. And that was my plan. I was just going to do as much as I could, and hopefully my family could get out, or if I ended up dying or from a gunshot wound or whatever, at least he'd be hurt enough that they could deal with it. So that was my mindset going into that situation, and unfortunately he wasn't armed.
Number 2. Trevor D Lee is a 22-year-old man who went missing in Dublin, Ireland on the 8th of December 2000. It was a bizarre and strange case at the time, but after a few years, the investigation went cold until eventually enhanced CCTV footage was released a few years ago, and the case sparked some new interest. The footage showed us the last known sighting of D Lee. He walks around at 4 in the morning during a storm and goes to various different locations. One of these locations is a bank where he speaks to a man briefly and then leaves. Later, D Lee is walking down a street, and a few seconds later, a man can be seen following behind him. It is believed to be the same man that D Lee was talking to previously. This footage of D Lee walking down the street is the last time he was ever seen, and the other man in the respective clips has never come forward, and his identity is still completely unknown. Number 3. In November of 2019, Inside Edition reported on a story about a woman who was allegedly kidnapped in Los Angeles. The incident was actually caught on tape by a Ring.com security camera. The footage shows us a woman screaming for help when a neighbor comes to her door to examine the situation. A white car can be seen driving away that apparently shows her in the boot of the car. It is a chilling piece of footage, and it's not surprising that it was used in the investigation to find out what was happening in this case.
Blood-curdling screams ring out. A concerned resident goes outside to investigate. Captured on her doorbell camera are the sounds of a woman crying out for help. You can also hear a man's voice. It appears the cries are coming from this white car zooming down the street. This is the home where the camera captured the screams and the car speeding away. A neighbor told me she saw the struggle happening just 2 doors down, and it left her terrified.
The car was right here.
Car was right here, parked right here?
Parked right here. The butt of the car was right here. The front of the car was in the street. She looked like she was trying to get out when she seen us, and he snatched her head back and he sped it out.
Number 4. Stephen Griffiths was a serial killer from Bradford, England, who killed 3 women between 2009 and 2010. He was nicknamed the Crossbow Cannibal because his weapon of choice was a crossbow, and he allegedly ate parts of his victims. He was eventually caught in 2010, and one of the main pieces of evidence used to convict him was the CCTV footage in his apartment building that actually showed the victim running away before she is eventually caught. Later, Griffiths is seen with the crossbow in his hand, taunting the security camera as he leaves his apartment. It's a chilling video, and it's a pity that Griffiths wasn't stopped sooner. He was later arrested and convicted to life in prison with no possibility of parole.
But we want to begin this half hour with serious news. Chilling images of an admitted serial killer committing one of his shocking crimes. NBC's Martin Fletcher is in London with the latest for us. Martin, good morning.
Yes, sir, good morning. Well, he's a psychology graduate, a PhD student in criminology, and he called himself in court the crossbow cannibal. Stephen Griffiths pled guilty to 3 murders within a year. This is the face of a serial killer with his weapon of choice, a powerful crossbow, right after a murder, taunting the CCTV camera. And this is his voice taunting an ex-girlfriend. She said he beat her, broke her nose, cut her with a piece of glass.
I'm not going to go away, so I guess you'd better.
The CCTV camera showed him leaving his room seconds after killing his 3rd victim, shot her in the head with an arrow. In Britain they call him the cannibal killer. He claimed he ate parts of his victims. Police found 81 pieces of one victim in this river.
Number 5. On the 23rd of January 2006, 24-year-old Jennifer Keese went missing in Orlando, Florida. She left work and began driving home, but she wasn't seen again after that. Her car was missing, but nothing in her home was out of the ordinary, which hints at the fact that this happened outside of her house. Her car was found a mile away from her apartment complex, and CCTV footage shows somebody dropping the car off and walking away. Friends and family do not recognize this person, and the footage is very frustrating as the person's appearance is obscured by the fence that they walked past. 14 years later, her whereabouts are still unknown, and the person in this footage remains unidentified.
Bill, thank you very much. 9 years ago today, Jennifer Kessie, just 26-year-old, vanished from her condo in South Orlando. Police have received more than 1,000 tips since 2006. Now this week, they released this new age progression photo of what Jennifer Kessie may look like today. If you heard whispering and mumblings underneath while Bill was doing the weather, that was Jennifer's mother and I talking. Joyce, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
You know, I've talked to you several times before, as well as your husband, and let's kind of refresh everyone's memory on this. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance. What happened?
She got up to go to work on Tuesday, January 24th, 2006, and did not make it to work.
When we're talking the South Orlando area, her condo, what area is that exactly?
The Mall of Millennia, which is kind of near Universal on Conroy. Jen had bought a condo directly across the street from Mall of Millennia. Moved in November 24th, and exactly 2 months later, on January 24th, she was abducted.
Now, we talk about all the tips that have come into police. Nothing has materialized so far.
Nothing has materialized exactly, and nothing of hers other than her car, which was found 2 days after the abduction, has been found. Items in the back seat, which easily could have been pawned, were left there. Obviously wasn't for carjacking. Robbery wasn't the motive, so was Jen the female that was desired? Was she targeted? We don't know. We don't have answers.